This is Paul. He used to work for the BBC. He is also a stalker. Back in the 1990s, the BBC television channels in the UK did not run all night. They would close down in the early hours of the morning. There would always be a calm, mellow voice which came on at the end, thanking you for watching and wishing you a good night. They were called continuity announcers. Paul was one of these. This is him rounding out a night's TV in the 90s.
And that's just about it for BBC One today. Don't forget BBC Radio carries on through the night on Radio 1, Radios 2 and 3, and with the BBC World Service on Radio 4, and 24-hour news and sport on BBC Radio 5 Live. Now though, with the time at 3 minutes to 2, this is Paul on behalf of all of us here on BBC One wishing you a very good night.
It appears that as well as working for the BBC briefly, he also went to university in the 90s as a mature student to study law but did not complete the degree. He had a handful of short relationships and brief encounters with women around this time. Then there is a huge gap, about 30 years. He never talks about that time, so where he worked and what he was doing is unknown. His story starts again 3 years ago. This is when the former BBC continuity announcer became a stalker. Around 2023, Paul began working as a bus driver in the Stourport and Kidderminster area. At the time, Paul was 58 years old. There was also a girl who was 18 or 19 at the time working at the depot who Paul took a fancy to. Undeterred by the age gap, he began to pursue the girl. First it was just friendly chats, but then he started turning up in places where he knew she was going to be and hanging around the depot after his shift finished. He also started to send her emails and offering her lifts. She probably would have thought that he was a nice friendly guy initially. The emails became more frequent and he eventually told her that he loved her. At that point she asked him to stop sending the emails and stop talking to him. He did not stop the emails though and still was hanging around trying to bump into her when he could. She asked him to stop again and eventually had to involve other staff at the depot who approached him and told him to back off.
I am really close now to how I felt 3 years ago when I first fell for you and when you rejected me and when you came with your little delegation and told me to leave you alone. And it broke my heart.
Around this time, Paul left the depot but did not stop trying to communicate with her. She contacted the police who paid Paul a visit and told him to leave the girl alone, but on her next birthday he sent chocolates and flowers to her address. He also started a YouTube channel and was making videos talking about the girl and professing his love for her. The police had to visit Paul again, resulting in him being charged for stalking. He was bailed. He deleted his YouTube channel but shortly after created a new one and continued where he left off, constantly talking about the girl despite saying in almost every video that he was going to stop doing this. Paul went to court and was charged with stalking and was jailed for 4 weeks. When Paul was released, he went back home to where he lives with his elderly mother in a static caravan on an old people's residential park. He has no job and has not worked since the bus depot 3 years ago. Unbelievably, despite 3 years passing with absolutely no contact with the girl, he is still making videos about her almost daily. He has convinced himself that she watches these videos and he is often talking directly to her in the videos, or at least he thinks he is. She is 21 years old now. He is 61. He has somehow deluded himself that he can see that she is watching his videos on the YouTube statistics, but those statistics do not identify the watcher. If someone watches the videos, he will automatically think it is her. He genuinely thinks that a 21-year-old girl is sitting up all night sometimes watching his videos. He thinks that in reality the girl loves him but is either too scared or nervous to tell him, too traumatized by things that have happened in her life, or too anxious about having sex with him, which is something he talks about often.
if you do genuinely want to see me and talk to me, and do any of the things I've talked to you about, they are all on offer. They are what I want to. I will do all of those things and much, much more besides, my darling.
He has now started driving to where she lives at 11 p.m. at night and hanging around the area in his car, often waiting at the end of her road. He does and says things in his videos to try to entice her to contact him, and also offers to perform sexual acts.
If you want me to come and fetch you and bring you over here and open that bloody bottle of champagne that's still sitting in the fridge, if you want me to make love to you, if you want me to perform that sex act on you, which frankly I would really love to do anyway.
Paul is the type of guy who thinks he has had a brief relationship with a woman if she smiles at him as she walks past. If she were to say hello or exchange pleasantries, he would consider it mutual flirting. He thinks that women do things to upset him because he hasn't asked them out, when really it's because he has misread the whole situation and assumed that they have some sort of crush on him. Earlier this year, he took a fancy to another girl much too young for him too. He started talking about her on his videos, partly to try to make the first girl jealous. She was a girl who worked at the supermarket where he did his weekly shopping. Again, it just started with pleasantries when passing, but he convinced himself that she was in love with him too. At some point she must have found out about the videos and started ignoring him and giving him angry looks on his weekly shop. Paul told himself that this was because she was mad at him for not following through with his imagined flirtation and asked her out. On one of his shopping trips, Paul was approached by security and told to leave the store. The girl he had been making the videos about had accused him of photographing or videoing her in the store. He denies this, but what are the chances of the very same girl that he was making videos about just happening to be the one to accuse him of this? He deleted all the videos about her and was asked not to return to the store, but that's for the next video. Paul is still making videos and has delusions of living in a London penthouse with several successful YouTube channels. He has lied a few times about moving to a posh flat in the middle of London. At one point he said that he already had the flat and was half moved in, but none of this was true. It was partly to impress the girl and partly to try to hurry her into contacting him before he moved away. That's it for this video, but be sure to catch the next one where we look into what happened at the supermarket. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and share this video, and let's keep an eye on Paul together.